Everyone treats summer like it owes you happiness. Long days, pool parties, your best life on a loop. So what does it mean when you feel worse? The summer blues are real. It's why summer is one of the busiest stretches of the year for people starting therapy. Therapy is not only for when you're in crisis. Growth therapy is for all the moments when you decide you want more. More support, more clarity, more tools. Mental health isn't a destination you reach. It's something you build, and Grow makes that easier. Grow connects you with thousands of high-quality licensed therapists across the U.S., offering both virtual and in-person sessions, nights and weekends. You can search by what matters, like insurance, specialty, identity, or availability, and get started in as little as 2 days. There are no subscriptions, no long-term commitments. You just pay per session. Grow helps you find therapy on your time. The therapist you want takes your insurance on Grow. Grow accepts over 125 insurance plans. Sessions average $21 with insurance, and some pay as little as $0 depending on their plan. Visit growtherapy.com/booknow today to get started. That's growtherapy.com/booknow. growtherapy.com/booknow. Availability and coverage vary by state and insurance plan.
Welcome back to the Secret Passage podcast. I'm your host, Dana Vespoli.
And I'm Shannon.
And here we are, another episode. This topic has been all over the news. It has absolutely captured the public imagination and outrage. Everyone has something to say, and I suppose we do too. This is the case of Mackenzie Shirilla out of Strongsville, Ohio. There was a Netflix documentary that everyone has seen and has thoughts and feelings about. It's called The Crash, on Netflix. And I felt it was important to discuss, in part because it's just part of the it is the national conversation right now, and I'm also interested in the public's reaction to the case. Do you remember when the incident happened? It was in 2022, July 30th, 2022.
I don't remember. No, I didn't hear about it until now.
I remember hearing about it. I remember when it happened, and at the time it was still believed to be an accident, right? I just remember seeing like little clips of Mackenzie at trial, and the fact that she had driven 100 miles per hour into a wall. And at the time, I remember at first thinking that it had to have just been some kind of an accident, related to probably being high or whatever. And then as a kind of murder-suicide, I thought, oh, well, okay, maybe a murder-suicide. And then it just kind of fell away. And then this documentary came out and all of this information. And so I suppose we can just quickly, I feel like everyone fucking knows about this. So I'm not going to just spend a whole lot of time getting into the details of it. There's podcasts that do that really, really thoroughly and really well. Like Annie Elise serialously did. She was, I think, on the scene. I think she was at the trial. She had access to all the police records and stuff, and then she does a very extensive deep dive into the jailhouse calls, which are mind numbing. So Mackenzie Shirilla, she was an Ohio teenager, and she was convicted of 2 counts of murder and sentenced to 2 concurrent life terms, so 15 to life, for intentionally driving her car into a brick building at 100 miles per hour. And again, this was July 2022. The victims in the crash were her boyfriend at the time, Dominic Rousseau, who was 20, I think. Yeah. and Davion Flanagan, who was a friend, and he was 19 years old. So
Mm.
Mackenzie was 17 at the time, just about to turn 18. She turned 18 in the following month in August. So they had been at a party in Strongsville, Ohio, and Strongsville is a suburb of Cleveland, and it's its own city. I mean, it has a pretty decent population and businesses, et cetera, et cetera. So it was roughly 5 o'clock in the morning, and they were driving, presumably home. It's not really clear where. The party was like a hang, more of like a group hangout versus like a rager is what I remember. One of her friends was clarifying that it wasn't like a big to do. Nevertheless, they drove home around 5 in the morning, or were heading home, and something happened that caused Mackenzie to accelerate her Toyota Camry to around 100 miles per hour, and slam head on into a brick building.
Mm.
She never hit the brakes. She never attempted to decelerate. And Dominic and Davion were pronounced dead on the scene. Mackenzie miraculously survived. She had serious injuries, but she was alive and able to communicate with the emergency medical technicians. She was hospitalized. She claims that she has no memory of anything even prior to the the crash.
Mhm. Mhm.
So the trial. So during 2023, there was a bench trial, and prosecutors argued that the crash was premeditated, and that Mackenzie intended to kill Dominic, with Davion being unfortunately kind of seen as collateral in this, that she
Mm.
wasn't thinking about Davion at all. She was just so enraged with Dominic that she just was like out to kill him, and presumably herself as well. But in Ohio, they it doesn't matter if you intend to take yourself out as well. It's still attempted murder,
Mm.
or murder. So, and of course, the video footage, the CCTV footage around that area, just it didn't do her any fucking favors, because you see her, it's chilling. It's like dead silence. And
Mm.
then all of a sudden, you see these headlights kind of
Mm.
off camera, and then zoom, and then in the distance, you hear the crash.
Ugh.
And then, of course, immediately after Mackenzie, so even in the hospital and then post hospital, she was back on her social media, appearing to have the time of her life, dressing up, going to parties, as though nothing happened. And then even any kind of grief or anything shown it seemed very performative
Mhm.
online. Everything was about garnering followers' attention and likes. So that did not help the trial. And then in August of 2023, Cuyahoga County Common Pleas Judge Nancy Margaret Russo, no relation to Dominic, found Sharilla guilty of all 12 charges against her, including murder, aggravated vehicular homicide, and felonious assault. And
Mm.
so the sentence allows Sharilla to possibly be granted parole after serving 15 years. That's when she will have her first parole hearing. So those are the facts of the case. I think that the most galling thing about the whole case, and this comes, that this is, you see it in the documentary, is Mackenzie. She doesn't come across well at all. She's just this little sassy wannabe influencer teenage girl who had a reputation for being a pain in the ass to fellow students, to teachers, staff, any authority figure. She had zero respect. And her preoccupations were being hot and being high and loaded all the time. So you'd see her driving 90 miles per hour with a fucking big ass blunt. So all of this is, we see it all the time. All you have to do is open up TikTok and scroll, and you're going to see 100 Mackenzies. I mean, if you're a teenager, my For You page is not filled with teenage girls getting high. It's all women in menopause
Yeah.
and true crime and Frenchies and pugs and cats. But my oldest son in high school, if he opened up his For You page on TikTok, you'd see a lot of people his age and a lot of girls, just hoping for brand deals, hoping to, get to a million plus followers and become TikTok famous. So that was Mackenzie. So really nothing too, Mackenzie's a dime a dozen. What really stood out for a lot of people was her parents
Mm.
and their uh, collective cluelessness, just absolute cluelessness, not dressed appropriately for court, as though they don't take anything seriously.
Mhm.
Their unwillingness or inability to assign any kind of, like, to hold their daughter or themselves accountable for anything with regard to Mackenzie, from her school performance or the accident or her behavior, just in general towards other kids or Dominic. And then after the fact, so you see that during the documentary. I say cluelessness because I really don't think that I don't think they get it. I think they're just they really don't, they seem delusional. So that really stood out. That's something that a lot of people have said. Mackenzie is the way she is because of the way she was raised.
Yeah, I think people talk about her parents as, some people were framing it as, like, these people are really in denial, which is interesting. Yeah, we can say a lot about those parents, yeah. I mean, it's in a way, I think they're also a dime a dozen. Like,
Yes,
there's a lot of parents who do that, don't really, they'd rather be best friends with their kid than their parent.
you see that a lot now. That I feel like that. I wonder if that is a byproduct of the digital age,
Mm,
because it feels as though Natalie Sharilla, Mackenzie's mother, was sort of living vicariously through her hot daughter.
mhm,
You know,
mhm,
the fact that she would go in and like these posts. Here's her 17. I mean, this was happening before she was 17, probably 16, 17, whenever she was old enough to drive and got her Camry. But Natalie would go in and like these posts where her daughter is saying something. There's one post where it's like, I'm the girl that can do drugs and not die.
mhm,
And she's
yeah.
like, her daughter, like, with a fucking fat blunt, just fucking smoking. And she's like recording herself. And then she goes and she shows that she's driving 90 miles an hour.
Ugh.
Right.
Ay, ay, ay.
And you got Natalie Sharilla liking these posts, liking all of these posts. And I'm like, that's your daughter, right? That's not like a cartoon character on the screen. That's your kid. Like, you birthed her, right? You know that, right? Like, that you're responsible for her.
Or, like, the lack of anxiety is striking. Like, she's like a Hollywood stage mom,
Mhm.
but it's like, because she's like engagement, she thinks she's helping in some way, but, like, her eye is on the wrong prize. But,
Mhm.
like, there's a way that I'm like, for me, it's this lack of anxiety, or it seems to be. I don't know. Like, wouldn't you be worried? Wouldn't you be
It
worried about your kid?
I mean, I would also extend that to Dominic's parents.
Yeah.
When Dominic was prior to the crash, first of all, there were plenty of fucking warning signs. This did not come out of thin air. This was Everything was leading to this. Right? Everything, this was going to happen. If it didn't happen on July 30th, it was going to happen on August 15th or whenever it was going to happen. But Dominic called his mother asking for help because Mackenzie was driving fucking recklessly and threatening to take him out and herself out and all of this. And Dominic's mother didn't seem anxious, didn't seem worried. There was no talk by Dominic's sister or his mother in the documentary saying, we sat him down and said, Dom, you gotta cut her loose. She is bad news. None of that happened.
Oh, didn't
So
she send Hench out? The guy that was
yeah,
like,
she sent
yes,
someone out to go pick Dominic up.
got it. But just bail him out of that particular situation.
Yeah, and there was no like, hey, Mackenzie, because then Mackenzie, would text Dom's mother, and Dom's mother's not like, Mackenzie, you gotta fucking slow your roll, girl. Like, this is not even an attempt at, hey, you know what? You need help. None of that. Those conversations never came up. And so I don't know if all of the parents in Strongsville like get together and like share a prescription of benzodiazepines. Like, are they all fucking like downing Xanny bars every day because there is like zero stress. None of them are stressed out. None of them are stressed the fuck out. Like it's alarming. So that the thing is like there's nothing unique about Mackenzie, and that's the scary part, right? There's nothing unique about Mackenzie or Dominic for that matter. Like I can throw a rock and I'll hit a Dominic at Calabasas High School. That the rich kid drug dealer, like, and the dude who throws parties at his parents' palatial estate while they're in Europe, like that is not unique at all, and that's the scary part. The fact that this happened, that this crash happened, is not unique. It happened, but it's like I feel like you're 10 minutes away from this happening every fucking day with a kid like Mackenzie, which is a lot of kids.
It just, the whole thing, I just put me, when I even think about it, it makes my stomach turn, because I feel like for me, my junior high and early high school years were such a weird time of feeling like more separate from my parents, more involved in relationships with people outside of my home and friends, and preoccupied with that. And that I just watched how, like the influence of your peers is so strong. I mean, we got all the lectures back in the day about like peer pressure and all that stuff. And it's true. It's like, it's a powerful force. And there were many situations I was in that I got myself into by hanging out with the wrong people. And I could have died. I mean, there were so many car crashes in my high school and junior high years, some that resulted in people being paralyzed, some resulted in people surviving, but also just stupid driving, like grabbing the steering wheel and yanking it and flipping the car. And it's just it's such a vulnerable time for parents and kids, where so much shit can go wrong. And before you can get your eyes on it or get your like hands on it and know what's really happening, it's too late. It takes one stupid thing.
Yeah.
One reckless, impulsive, and kids' brains are not formed. Like, I don't even know if people should have driver's licenses when they're 16. I'm kind of, yeah. So anyway, it just made me feel just the incredible vulnerability of kids and parents, especially with the way that culture and their peers influence each other, and this culture of like the internet and all of that being cool, or, I don't know. It's not wholesome at all. No. It was not wholesome.
No. It in general, it just isn't, Yeah. I don't want to pretend like Natalie and what was her husband's name? Natalie and
Steve.
Yeah. So Natalie and Steve. I don't want to pretend like it would have been easy to put the reins on their child, Mackenzie. It's funny because did you see any of that Chris Cuomo interview with Steve?
I didn't.
Okay. It's hilarious because there is one part where Steve is like, well, what was I supposed to do? Take her car keys away?
It's like,
lock
yes.
her in the room? And Chris goes, yeah.
Precisely. Yeah.
You're her parent. I think at the point, because so there are these there's like, you can spend, I don't recommend it because you will just, I feel like you lose IQ points when you're like reading through these text exchanges between Mackenzie and her mother, Mackenzie and her father,
Yeah.
the jailhouse calls with Mackenzie and her friends, Mackenzie and her mother. But you see, there were times where Steve would try
Mm-hmm.
to lay down the law with her, where
Mm-hmm.
he is like, hey, that's my car. Like, I'm the one paying for it. And you need to blah, 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 blah. And Mackenzie would go off on him via
Yeah.
text message. Like, if I went off like that with my mother, I would have been whacked. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
don't fucking talk that way. And the fact that Mackenzie felt she could speak that way with her dad
Mm-hmm.
means that it was too late
Mm-hmm.
at that
Mm-hmm.
point. You had 16 years, Steve, to get her on the right track, and now you're trying to make up for lost time, and now it's too late. You have a wild beast that is like running amok. And so I think it was a thing of coddling, 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 and then recognizing now it's not cute anymore. Now she's almost an adult, and she will do whatever the hell it is she wants to do, which was a lot of shit. I feel like when she moved in with Dom, when she was 17, 16, 17, 17, and her parents tried to claim that she was mature enough. And I was like, Mackenzie's mature enough? You're talking about the girl that has been suspended from school a bunch of times, where you are called into the office all the time because she's bullying other kids
Mm-hmm.
and calling her teachers a bitch.
Mm.
That she's mature enough to go live with her boyfriend? No, just be honest. You didn't want her to deal with her anymore. She was out of control. You didn't want to deal with her anymore. So you went ahead and said, go ahead and go move in with your drug dealer boyfriend, even though that's not going to be good for her either. They just didn't want to deal with her, and they're pretending like she was mature. And then, not to mention her little sister, who's like, I guess, neglected and hiding food.
I've never seen a picture of her, don't know anything about her. I would love for her to write a tell-all book about what was going on in that house.
She
Because
just
yeah.
fell in the cracks.
Mhm.
She's never mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine that family dynamic and like zero attention on her because Mackenzie demands it all.
Mhm.
Like, I just imagine her just. I imagine actually maybe Mackenzie even manipulating to get the sister sidelined because she can't handle the sibling rivalry or the competition or whatever. And so the sister probably gladly stepped back and hid in the closet and ate cookies or what is she doing? She was hiding and eating.
She was hoarding food. She was
Uh-huh.
hiding food under her bed, and
Oh,
Natalie's solution to that, rather than, oh, I don't know, getting her counseling, having a conversation with her, was to remove her bed frame and make her sleep on the floor.
oh
So
Lord.
Natalie didn't have trouble laying down the law.
That's a metaphor.
Yeah.
Wait, let's think about this. Okay, so instead of addressing the root of the issue,
She
she
just takes
does
away the
that.
frame. Yeah, she
That's
takes away
really
the
interesting.
frame and
Hmm.
makes Danielle sleep on the floor. So,
Mm.
I'm not fond of Mackenzie's parents, but also what's interesting in all of this, and the truly frightening thing, because again, Mackenzie and Dominic, this was how it was going to end for them, right? And again, this was not a surprise. This didn't come out of left field. All the signs were there, and you could make the argument this was actually a predictable and also kind of a metaphor for the way they were living their lives and the way that a lot of kids right now, Gen Z, are living their lives, which is online.
Dead end.
Yeah, that they're on a road straight into they're self-destructing. They're self-destructing. Davion, who really just feels like he was such like,
A snug bug. He was a sweet kid.
yeah, he was a good kid. He did it, things didn't start out. He didn't have an easy start. He was adopted from foster care with his little sister when he was 8. So he was old enough to kind of be aware that he had come out of not an ideal situation, but he was adopted by the Flanagans, who just seemed like good people. And they They love their kids. You can see Davion's sister. She's on TikTok, and she's a sweet kid. She's a good kid. You can see that. But Davion worked hard in his life. He worked hard. He had to work hard to overcome some of the deficits that he had just from going through the system. So, his parents got him tutoring, and he was tutored. He worked really hard with his tutors to be able to get to where he needed to be academically. He was an incredible athlete. He worked volunteering, like teaching kids like swimming and stuff like that during his summers. And then he tore his ACL, I want to say in his senior year
Mm-hmm.
in high school. He had collegiate football dreams and stuff, and he tore his ACL, and that sidelined him. And so it's not really clear, like, I guess just through kids knowing each other, he started to hang out with Dominic's crowd and Mackenzie's crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just ended up in that car. He wasn't supposed to.
Mm.
He wasn't supposed to. He ended up in that car. He wasn't a kid who was doing anything wrong. I know his parents weren't thrilled about the fact that, once his football dreams were dashed, that he started to kind of move around with this crowd. And I'd like to think that he would have outgrown it pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Just the whole like going to these events and parties and stuff like that. And like, I mean, he had shifted his focus on, going to barber school and then having his own shop,
Mm-hmm.
which would have been cool. And he probably would have had one of those amazing fucking barber shops where everybody goes and hangs out. But that's the terrifying thing. And that's why I was saying like before that there is like a Greek tragedy component to Davion's story.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't supposed to be there. Like literally he wasn't. He had a whole other plan for getting home. And in the last minute, he changed his mind.
Ugh.
And so it's frightening because his father did say in the documentary that he had told Davion before, like, you show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And
Yeah.
that future was being, taken and smashed into a wall. And it's terrifying. And that's the scary thing is the real scary thing is like the Flanagan family who, they did everything right.
Mm-hmm.
That's the scary thing is you can do everything right.
Yeah.
And even Davion wasn't doing anything wrong that night. He just made a split decision to just wait and just get a ride with Mackenzie. Also, who the fuck gave Mackenzie the keys to the car? Dominic? Like, did she almost get you killed before? Like, what's going on? Was he just like loaded or something? And he's like, you're going to have to drive?
They were all on mushrooms.
That's true.
But, I think they really did not perceive her as a threat because of her
Diminutive size.
wafiness. And they just probably, and she's a woman. Like if a man had been doing stuff like that, I feel people would set off alarms. But it's like they kind of blew it off as though and they've known each other forever. I think that's part of it. You just don't know what people are capable of. And especially, I mean, at that age, it's also like, okay, that other documentary you have to watch, the Scream Killer.
Yeah, I will.
Scream Murder.
Right.
It's a perfect example because the kids have hindsight now. They've been in prison for a long time and they reflect back on that time of their lives. And it really points to, they're like, I'm a different person than I was then. It's like you're not who you become as an adult.
Right.
You just don't have the impulse control. So I think about it and I think even Davion's parents, they had some idea that this crowd was not the right crowd. And they tried to talk to him about the marijuana. He convinced them. They had a reasoned conversation about these things.
Sure.
But there was no sort of, I think if there was a difference in maybe like socioeconomic status, there would have been more alarm bells going off and maybe the parents would have put their foot down and said, you're not hanging out with these people. You're not doing that. But because I'm just assuming that they didn't look like a threat. They were like wealthy. What's his face was 20. So I don't know what his parents could have done to stop, anything because he was an adult essentially. I guess they could have said, "We'll kick you out of the house,
Yeah,
Dom."
no, that's the
Yeah.
thing is they in a lot of ways, there was, it seems to me, a lot of permissiveness. Like, he lived in
Yeah.
the house that his mother owned,
Mhm.
so I don't think he was paying for it, and yeah. This isn't to shit on Dominic or his family, it's just looking at
Yeah.
the situation and choices that were made. That's the thing is like, how could this have been prevented? And there are certainly, I'm not saying that it would have stopped Dominic's dealing or any of that if he had been told to leave that house, but I think it would have removed a lot of the free time he had.
It's such a good question. I think that's really the question, is like, that could come from something like this, is how is that preventable? What do parents need to be looking for? When and how to intervene? Kids can be really convincing. They're fine. They're great. They're my best friends. And their parents are really nice. Or his mom's a lawyer. He's got his own clothing line. You know what I mean?
Right,
And
he's an enterprising young man. And who's to say, like, Davion probably didn't know about, like, the near fatal car crash prior to that night with Mackenzie and Dom. Like, there's a lot of things he probably just didn't know because apparently he wasn't that close with Dominic and certainly not with Mackenzie. So there's a lot that he didn't know.
yeah, and that's the thing though, is people didn't, that piece about her. If a guy had done that, right? I'm driving, I'm threatening you, I'm going to crash this car. That would be terrifying.
Well, they would look at it as also domestic violence.
Right. And
Right.
it is. It's like you
Yes,
have
it is.
all the power. It's like holding a gun to someone's head essentially. And I think that's, people missed that somehow. That, like, that's the equivalent of holding a gun to someone's head and saying, "I'm going to shoot you with this."
Right.
And I don't know, maybe there were conversations, but nobody's talking about it. Nobody's saying, "Oh,
Right.
I took Dom aside and I was like, this is not okay. You need to break up with her. She's not coming over. She's not allowed here." Yeah. Also, for himself, and and kids that age, when they're trying to break up with someone who won't let them break up with them, like, what did, if he would have been successful in setting his limits and not getting back together with her, and if he had had support around that, none of this would have happened. But he kept letting her back in because she kept begging and coercing and worming her way back in. But the parents could have intervened there easily.
But like you said, there's
Hmm.
probably a lot that they didn't even know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to be fair, especially if Dom's mother's busy working, I don't know where his dad was.
Oh, I thought his dad lived in the house next door to him. Is that not true? I thought his mom lived somewhere else and she had that guy living in her basement or something.
Oh, maybe that's what it is. Yeah. Well, either way,
Yeah.
there's a lot that just, they I think Mackenzie probably presented well at first,
Yeah.
to the point where she felt she could text Dom's mother and stuff. It could be that Dom's mother had a certain amount of affection for her. Also didn't see her as a threat because she's just this little slip of a girl who
Mhm.
is sassy and obsessed with her son. And that, when she would fly off the handle, it could be that that was the one and only time that she saw Mackenzie fly off the handle. Mackenzie insists that it was reversed, that Dominic was the one that was being threatening. And it may be Dominic's mother was like, shit, I don't know what happened then. Like,
Mhm.
they just had a fight.
Mhm.
So that is to be, play the devil's advocate. It could be that most of these parents, with the exception of Mackenzie's parents, okay, because Mackenzie put it all online and Natalie saw everything and liked every fucking tweet and post and TikTok and everything. So, but like Dominic and Davion's parents probably just weren't clued into everything that was going on. And maybe that is the thing. And also, there's also that feeling of they'll outgrow this.
Yeah.
Davion will outgrow this. He's got to go to barber school soon. Dominic will outgrow this. He's, young, good looking guy. doing his thing. He's going to move on because who the heck sticks with the same girlfriend forever?
Mhm.
And it could be too that Dominic was communicating to his sister, to his mom, to different people like, I got to break up with Mackenzie at some point. I'm
Mhm.
going to be breaking up with her. So they probably also had that thought. And Dominic, yeah. And then that night, probably everything was fine. They leave the party, they get in the car, and Mackenzie flies off the handle because maybe Dominic said something. Maybe he said, you know what, Mackenzie, uh, after you drop me off at home, I think we need a break, or
Mhm.
disagreement, like something even minor. Didn't take much to set her off.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Didn't take a lot to set her off. So one thing I do not believe that she did a test run
Oh,
leading up to that
yeah.
night. I don't believe it.
So that was a shortcut. It's a shortcut she usually she took often. That's what I heard.
Yeah, because
Uh-huh.
you could speed through there and
Mhm.
cops were not around. No one was around. So you could drive quickly. And if
Mhm.
they were high still or had some residual whatever in their
Yeah.
systems, it's easier to go through that area rather than a heavily trafficked police area. So
What do you think about the POTS thing or the what do you think about the accident or the POTS? Anything? Do you think any of those is a possibility?
so I don't think she had POTS. I don't believe that for a second. I don't think that this may ruffle some feathers. I don't think she intended to kill anybody. I don't think she intended to. I think she wasn't fucking thinking at all. I
Mhm.
think she was in a blind rage.
Mhm.
I think she wanted to terrorize Dominic. I don't think that Davion was ever a consideration in her mind. I don't even know that she remembers he was in the fucking back seat.
Oh.
I think she became enraged and she had done it before. I'm going to crash this fucking car when she was driving with Dominic before.
Mhm. Mhm.
But I think she is somebody that has never been accountable and has never ever gotten in trouble for anything in her life. She's never ever been told no. She's never faced, well, she's been told no by Dominic and then she has like lost her mind on him, just
She
like
can't
she's
take
lost her.
no.
She can't take no for an answer. But I think that she went into a blind rage. And I think probably in that moment, she didn't care what would happen because everything has always worked out for her.
Mhm.
So I don't know that she was thinking that far ahead. I think that if she was somebody who ever thought far ahead, she would have been living her life very differently, period. So that's my theory. I think she started to drive really fucking fast and she was probably still slightly inebriated on whatever. You know, the toxicology report, they didn't test until a long time later, and so that's why THC was the only thing in her system. So I don't know about mushrooms, how quickly that goes in and out of your system, but she may have still had some residual like mushrooms, which the come down from mushrooms is brutal from what I understand. Like you feel like shit. Like
Yes. You can have gastro symptoms. You can have like feel really like dark black hole of nothingness.
yeah,
Like
I had a friend who said that she would get really paranoid and think people were talking about her, like just weird
Mhm.
mental
Mhm.
shit where she would just get really paranoid. So there's a lot of things that could have been happening. I mean, I think that Mackenzie is where she needs to be, but as far as like this premeditation, I wouldn't call it premeditated. I'd call it just a rage response that was completely irrational. We've seen it before.
Mhm.
It's just this time it killed 2 people and
Ah,
nearly killed her and nearly killed her.
yeesh.
What about you? What do you think?
When I first heard about it, I just thought, oh yeah, total blind rage flip out situation where she just like went ah, and just I mean, also homicidal, suicidal, everything. Just sort of like that. I mean, I hate to say this. I don't like to label people, but like when for communication purposes, like borderline freak out, borderline
Right.
rage, and like
You will not leave me.
yeah, just
Yeah.
like and then turning the car in his direction so that side would slam into the wall seemed like
There's some theories
mhm.
that that turn was like a recognition that she was about to
Yes.
hit the wall, and so it was almost like this pointless last ditch attempt to veer.
Yes, and some people say that when you are coming into those situations, like people have had traumatic experiences, that you don't have memory. I know she's claiming to not have memory, and that does happen. And you have the last memory like right before your head hits the pole. You kind of can remember everything to the up to that point, and then you kind of black out, which thank God. So it's because if we ever get in a car accident, I'm like, yes, please let me check out before I like get smashed. But that's what I thought. I thought, okay, she's flipped out. She did it, and she probably is remorseful in some ways, like, oh, I fucked up, but she can't even admit to that. She can't even admit there was any intention at all. And if there was intention, imagine it was just right then, right there. It wasn't like a week before planning, I'm going to do this
No.
thing. If it was planned, I don't think she would have had, honestly, I don't think she would have had Davion in the car. I think that would have
Yeah.
stopped her. But I was curious. My mind kind of went to the whole night, and I thought, that's interesting. If she's kind of like needy and scared that her relationship is going to be ending, let's say they're at that party, that get together. I wonder if she got upset then, because apparently she was on the couch sleeping, and then she woke up and he was somewhere else. And so I can imagine, I don't like, maybe she was mad at him because he wasn't paying attention to her that night.
Yeah, were you talking about me? Where
Yeah.
were you? Were you talking about me? Maybe that picked up in the car. So what were you talking about? Where were you? You weren't on the couch. Dominic is like, man, I am so sick of this. You are just so full of drama. You promised me you wouldn't blah, 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 blah. You know what? Maybe this isn't going to work out. Davion's in the backseat probably going, can you guys like just drop me off at home before
Please
you
don't
continue
start
this
this.
fight?
Well, see,
Yeah.
Davion might have been the reason it escalated, because the shame of having that happen in front of him versus if
And
he
and
wasn't
him having to be in the backseat listening to this
there.
go on, and then so Mackenzie, out of her own just ego, is like, "Well, I'm gonna fucking show you." So, I
Yeah,
mean, it ultimately we'll never know what they
I
talked
know.
about.
Someone probably told her to calm down.
Yeah, 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 right. Yeah, yeah.
She
But
was,
Don probably told her, "You're acting crazy in front of my friend."
please calm down. You're embarrassing me.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
it's like sends her over the edge. I mean, it's sad. I can't believe I'm laughing, but it's because I felt that way before.
Yeah.
It's like, don't tell me to calm down right now. I felt that way. You know how I felt towards certain ex-boyfriends. And you got me screaming at him because he had my Blockbuster card and kept.
No, I have done that. I have been pushed to rage out where it wasn't safe. I've
Yeah,
been there. I have
yeah.
been there where I have been so wound the fuck up that like I've done that. I remember in college, my college boyfriend, we were driving, we were on the fucking 101 freeway actually.
Mhm.
I was visiting from during summer vacation because he lived in Southern California and I was up north. And he was just doing that little poke, 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 poke while he was
Oh,
driving.
oh.
And I lost my shit in the car, not thinking about the fact we were, going 70 miles per hour, not thinking we're on a freeway, not thinking maybe this is reckless.
Mhm.
Maybe this isn't a good idea. I just snapped and was just freaking out and hitting his arm. I'm like, and he's laughing. So he's
Uh-huh.
not thinking either about
Yeah,
the fact that we're
yeah.
driving. But and I was 19 at the time. Not proud of that, not proud of that at all. But it's just you think about Mackenzie being 17, almost 18, and you add to that the fact that this is a girl that has never ever been taught how to regulate her emotions. She has never ever been told that she is ever in the wrong, never been counseled. Her parents never got her into any kind of therapy. So she loses her shit and flips out. The sad thing is, I think I told you that there's this there's a few TikTok is a very interesting place with a lot of people that she was in prison with.
Mhm.
One girl in particular who wasn't in prison at the same time as her, but like got out shortly before she arrived there. But she's familiar with that same prison system, and this
Hmm.
particular woman has got her high school diploma. while she was in prison.
Mhm.
She has, I think she got like 2 degrees. She is doing great, but she's saying, she goes, the thing is there are opportunities to turn your life around in there. There are
Mhm.
absolutely opportunities. You just have to want that. You just have
Mhm.
to want to fucking grow up and change, but everything is there. Everything is there. And Mackenzie's doing none of that.
Mhm.
And that's the tragedy, is that the cycle is continuing. She's in prison, and her mom is upset that they didn't give her like a welcome kit to prison so that she would know how to do things. Mackenzie bitches and moans. Her mom just says, I know, Cupcake. I know, Pumpkin. I know. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Well, and that's the conversation. Her mom's not, parole. You're up for parole in 15 years, man. Now's the time. Like you'll be in your 30s, like 30s or the new 20s. Like let's get you working on some shit, let's get you studying, let's get you doing some stuff, and you can turn your life around. Her mom's doing none of that.
There's some really interesting little tidbits in those conversations. Like her mom was they were talking about this place where they have fruit. So they're talking about social media. So this is right after she's in jail, and they're talking about posts on social media about her case, and
Yes.
they're just talking about how people are supporting her, and they don't know who this person is who wrote these things, and they were talking about this fruit, and I think it was like a grocery store, and she's all, oh, I would like to work there when I get out, or something like that. And her
Right.
mom, and she's like, oh, and the thing she said about it was, I would get the first pick of everything. And it's just like, it's so interesting. Her whole psychology is like me, 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 me. And when her mom tries to parent her in the conversation in a very gentle way, her mom says, well, you should blah, 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 try to do this. And I forget what it was, the content, but the process was, her mom was trying to say, oh, let me mother you. Let me tell you, in this situation, you could do this. And as soon as she started to go into it, she changed the subject. She's like, I gotta go, mom. And she had no room for her mom at all. And then anytime her mom would sort of say something that she would balk at, or she would push back on, or she would snap a little bit, like, her mom would, you could hear her like scurrying back and sort of being like, oh, okay, oh yeah, like, and so she was totally controlling her parents in a way. And that's
Hmm.
like, that's brutal in terms of, if your parents can't stand up to you as a kid, then it's problematic. But it
Yeah.
was, yeah, it's wild to watch the dynamics. And the dad popped on the phone, and the dad was sort of, just, you could tell he wanted to get on and off. And he's like, love you, baby, love you so much, I'm your number one supporter, just kind of like very superficial, shallow sort of interactions. But I know it's being recorded, and I know they were being careful and probably strategic in what they were saying. But you just got little echoes of how much control she had over everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. And also the way they infantilize her.
Hmm.
Like like when Natalie's like, well, daddy's here. Dada is here.
Yes.
Daddy's here. And then
Dad.
and then Steve is like, mommy wants to get back on the phone. And I'm like, what? This is how they talk to
I
her.
know. I know.
It's so sad. I- But again, I keep going back to so many of the comments I see from people that grew up in Strongsville or are close to her age, and they're like, guys, there's like there's thousands of Mackenzies. Like that's not, there's nothing unique about her. The only reason why anybody is paying attention is because of the crash.
Hmm.
But that
Hmm.
so many of these kids are just, yeah, they're all just seconds away from some kind of a disaster, whether it's a crash or an overdose or, whatever it is, some kind of impulsive behavior that gets them killed or seriously injured or whatever.
Yeah.
And I do wonder if this is a consequence of, I mean, I think it is. I think Adam Carolla, I was listening to him this morning. There's just this quick little thing that he said about what we need. Yeah, everyone needs like a hobby. You need a hobby that isn't you. You need a hobby that isn't you.
Ugh. Yeah.
Something that you do with your hands, something that you do with your body, something that you do that gets you away from your phone or a camera or something. Like that's you have to care about something
Yeah.
other than yourself.
Yeah.
It's not. I go back to also the text exchange between Mackenzie and Dominic. It was a few years before the crash, but there had been a party at Dominic's house, and this girl Kendall, who was like in their friend group, I think she was like really high, and then she fell down the stairs. Somehow she ended up falling down the stairs and being very like seriously injured. And
Ooh.
so she was in ICU, but it was a big thing where everyone kind of like got her out of the house. So they moved her out of the house before getting any kind of medical personnel so that no one would go inside of Dom's house and I
Mhm.
don't know, probably see that they were all getting high or whatever.
Mhm.
But in the text exchange, like Mackenzie's telling him that Kendall is in ICU and it's not clear if like Kendall's unconscious or whatever. Apparently she's fine now.
Mhm.
So she got through it. So she's fine now. But then Dominic said something about like something to the effect of, "Man, I feel so bad. I'm a buyer a Louis Vuitton purse." And Mackenzie's like, to her credit, Mackenzie's like, "What the fuck is she gonna do with a Louis Vuitton purse? Like, pay her medical bill or something."
Mhm.
And then also Mackenzie was mad because she would want a Louis Vuitton purse before anybody's getting a Louis Vuitton purse. So there's that
Ugh.
that thing again about I get the first pick of everything. It's like get it for me first. And then Dominic says something to the effect of like, I think feeling like Mackenzie's acting jealous, which she kind of
Mhm.
was. And
Mhm.
Dom's like, if it was like one of my dudes, I would get him like new kicks, like
Mhm. Mhm.
Jordans or whatever. And
Mhm.
again, it comes down to stuff.
Yeah.
Everything comes down to stuff and seeking
Mhm.
pleasure. And that's the thing. Mackenzie's hobbies were herself.
Yeah.
Mackenzie's hobbies, and so many young people, it's themselves. Everything where they go, everything they do, they are recording themselves, they're vlogging themselves. Social media has just created this generation of like narcissists that just everything is focused on the self and pleasure. So you've got
Mhm.
Mackenzie, it's like, look at me, look at me, look at me. I'm hot, I'm hot, I'm hot. Let's get high, let's get high, let's get high. Look, I'm being hot and getting high at the exact same time. Dominic's like, look at me. I got my clothing. I want to start a clothing line. I don't know if I want to start a clothing line. I'm going to sell these drugs. I got guns in my house. Look at me. I'm hot. I'm a good looking dude. Drugs,
God.
sex,
Yeah.
drugs, sex, looking hot, sharing it all as though your life is interesting to anybody except yourself. No one fucking cares.
It's so encapsulated. It's a weird like so my when as you're saying this, I'm thinking, God, it's been so normalized that no one even thought to ask, really, it seems like, what the hell? Like, why do you need to be high all the time? Like what's going on in there that you need to get high all the time? Like that's a problem. Like it's one thing to especially at that age, you just wonder like, like what kind of stuff is it like an emptiness? Is it like a feeling of low self-worth? Is it like what drives this constant need for self-aggrandizing and escaping and being the coolest? And I mean, I get it that like social relationships are important to kids at that age and everybody wants to be liked and whatever, but that whole thing is disturbing,
Yeah.
right? Like I don't. I think it's like just a culture of like, well, it's like alcohol. How alcohol is so normalized in our culture, and how people just getting wasted all the time in college. It's starting not to be, but like it's just a thing people don't worry about until later when they have cirrhosis of the liver or something, But like,
Oh, they're doing studies like this
yeah,
this weird idea that marijuana isn't dangerous, especially
oh,
to young people. And it's like,
so dangerous.
it is. This
Psychotic breaks.
I think that all that pleasure seeking, that superficial pleasure seeking that then causes you to just be stoned 24 hours a day, like Mackenzie kind of was, just like when you're driving and you've got your fucking weed and that somehow that's cool. So it's interesting because that emptiness is a lack of meaning. It's a lack of meaning. And I recently read Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for
Mhm.
Meaning. And I mean, he's, discussing man's search for meaning in the context of how he survived Auschwitz. But it's applicable to all of us,
Yeah.
right? That if you don't have meaning in your life, you feel like absolute shit. You're gonna fill it with something. And it's like sugar, when your body desperately needs nourishment, but you just keep filling your body with sugar and you feel like shit. So then you eat more sugar and it goes on and on and on, like as an example. But if you don't have, and this goes back to what Adam Carolla was saying about like hobbies, and hobbies it could be anything,
Mhm.
for us, I always go to sports because sports and athletics have just been just a fundamental part of my life and have kept me out of trouble, have kept my kids out of trouble.
Mhm.
And you learn, you learn respect on the field. If a kid gets injured, everybody takes a knee
Mhm.
and waits, and then they applaud that kid for having the courage to do whatever it is that they did. They get hurt, they get carried off the field. The team is there to support them. You learn how to endure hardship. You learn how to endure physical pain and keep going. you
Mhm.
you learn how to respect other people. You learn good sportsmanship. You learn how to cheer on. If you lose, you cheer on the other team because
Mhm.
they're making you better. These are all, I mean, this is all it's important. You learn how to be humble, and
Mhm.
you learn how to deal great with, gracefully with any kind of hardship or defeat. Something
Mhm.
that Mackenzie never learned. She became her own hobby.
Yeah.
And that's the sad thing, is that Mackenzie she's such a despicable figure. Everyone hates her. It never had to be that way. And that's the sad thing, is that
Mhm.
there's probably someone inside of Mackenzie that's creative. Like,
Mhm.
you see in prison, like she's trying to have a hustle going where she's like doing designs on people's shoes, like altering clothing, which I know is against the rules, but she's doing something that's kind of creative. There's probably a creative person inside of that
Mhm.
little asshole,
Mhm. Mhm.
and
Yeah.
it's just there was something there. Dominic too, like he comes from good stock. His mom's a lawyer. Like he's an enterprising he was an enterprising young man. Like he
Mhm.
he had some business savvy and stuff. And then don't we already know about Davion. He was on the right track. He just ended up at the wrong place at the wrong time. But like all these kids, I mean, you just look at them as like, I think we were talking about this, is what happened is it's the final, it's the logical conclusion of living this way,
Yeah.
is you just end up maybe you could see it. I mean, it literally happened, but it's also a metaphor of like what is your life at the end when you're just filling it with drugs and social media and stuff
Mhm.
and things and stuff.
Yep.
That your solution to a girl in ICU is to buy her something that is useless. Like that's such a metaphor too. Like I'm going to buy her a Louis Vuitton purse. Okay, she's in ICU. She probably just hopes to live. She hopes
Yeah.
to survive. She hopes to take another breath. And
Yeah.
your thought is, I'm not trying to clown on Dominic, but like that's the culture that he was in. That's the culture that Mackenzie was in. That's
It's
the
the
culture
value
that
system.
everyone is in right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the internet is not neutral, and I think there's something
No.
about it, yeah, like, you could turn it into a career that makes it seem sort of, like, exciting and something good to be doing, but it is not neutral, and, it's interesting because, like, in my work with clients, I'm like, I am not attached to what happens in the work in terms of, like, where someone ends up in terms of their quote, unquote, "values," right? Like, I'm in the business of like freeing people from their histories so they can have choice in their lives. And whatever they choose to do, I'm okay with that. Like if they choose to keep drinking, if they choose to smoke weed, if they choose to be an influencer, great. If they're free. But this is not what that was. This was like these people were in the throes of some bad shit. Like it was not good. Like there was a lot of psychological stuff going on here about, that needed to be attended to. And they
Yeah.
were just layering. stuff on top of it, right? Drugs, relationship addiction, you know, like obsession, whatever you want to call it, you know, like
Right.
not not being able to regulate her emotions, maybe feeling empty, maybe it was unworthy. I don't know what it was, but feeling something that was driving this need to be the top dog, the top girl, to, you know, basically control her parents with her moods and behavior. Didn't she threaten to commit suicide when they tried to like discipline
Oh, yeah,
her?
that police were called to the house at one point. This was years prior because
Hmm.
she was threatening to kill herself.
Hmm.
So, yeah, again, just an inability to regulate her feelings. So, I do think there were times too in her
Hmm.
text exchanges with friends where she would complain that she was bored and wanted to do something, and so sometimes that meant getting high
Yeah.
or going and taking pictures of herself.
There's something, right, there's just, like, this thing of, I cannot be ordinary, I can't sit with my regular old feelings, I can't like, she was and I wonder if her parents just couldn't tolerate seeing her in distress. That's a thing, right? Like, "Oh, my
Yeah,
daughter's upset, oh, let me fix it somehow." And, like, these things were kind of fixing it in a way, not they weren't fixing it, but they were fixing it, I think, like, when something's fixed. But, like, I think they were, like, you know, these they were just like, "Oh, she's fine for now." Right? She's
yeah.
happy. She's like, well, she's got a brand deal. Oh, she has somebody like this. And in a way, I think they just were kind of out of their above their pay grade in this situation and didn't know really how to deal with a kid who had emotional problems, you know,
Right,
and
they had
yeah.
just her entire childhood, they were scotch taping a sinking ship. Like,
Yes.
just like yeah. And also just again, I think that they were just incredibly just ineffectual people, like, without
Mhm.
their children. I just get the impression that these are they're not the top they were never gonna be the top brass. I mean, that they didn't seem to really understand also cause and effect, like Steve Sharilla, he was either put on leave or lost his job teaching
Mhm.
at a Catholic school.
Mhm.
How did he not know that talking about being okay with his daughter smoking pot, that
Mm.
he also smokes pot and is fine if everybody on planet Earth smokes pot? How did it's like he didn't make the connection that that was gonna get out and he could probably lose his job.
Ugh,
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I
it seems
know.
like just in their lives, they never really understood consequences, like if I don't do this, this is going to be the logical result of not raising their kid right, not
Mhm.
disciplining her, because clearly it didn't it never happened.
Yeah.
I'm under the impression that Mackenzie was never. You don't end up where she was, like calling her parents' names, screaming at teachers, getting into fights at school. That didn't happen overnight. Like
No.
that was a steady diet of being told whatever you want, dear. You know.
Right, or just make it stop, make it stop, make it stop. Somehow let's give
Yeah.
her a pacifier, you know, like
Right.
and that did not help her. And I know it's so hard for some parents to have give consequences. It's just so hard. And so hard for them to be disliked by their kids, even
Yeah.
temporarily. And you just have to be, you know, this is what I think about. You know, people just have kids and they don't really think about it sometimes about like what it requires of you
Yeah.
to do the job well. And it requires a lot of discomfort and a lot of learning and a lot of like and you know there's that documentary again I recommend it to everyone is the parents in the end of it the scream murder the parents in the end of it are really kind of like taking stock of their part in what they did and didn't see what they did and didn't attend to. I think it was kind of I mean it wasn't as bad as her there were not as many signs I think with
Sure.
but, I guess when that could be a prevention thing. I feel like the in a way as a culture okay, first of all, I find it terrifying. You know my thing. I'm like, I kinda wanna outlaw people having pets at this point because I'm like, I can't handle the fact that anyone can have a pet and they can do anything they want to them, and there's no
Yeah, yes, yes.
right, it drives me crazy. So, but I mean, I don't wanna take that joy away from people who aren't psychos, but the with parents, it freaks me out that any fucking person can have a child. Then they just
Dude,
right,
I know. I know.
with no
That's
forethought, no training, no education, no nothing. Like, you can do whatever you want to this kid.
dude,
Yeah.
I'm there was one time I was on set And there was one female talent. She was getting her makeup done, and the makeup artist was doing her makeup. And the female talent, I don't know how they got on this topic, but the female talent was saying, like, I don't think that I'm ever going to have children,
Mm-hmm.
which is a choice. And it is a valid choice.
Mm-hmm.
It is. And I don't fault anyone. I think that when you make that choice, it means that she thought it through.
Mm-hmm.
Makeup artist was like, "Oh, you don't say that. You'll regret it. You'll regret not having kids. If it gets to be where it's too late, you'll regret it." And I was like, "Yo, we don't do that. We don't do that here. We don't shit on somebody's decision. First of all, you're making it about you and
Yes.
about what you want. And
Yes.
it's not just about what you want. You are bringing a complex human being into this world. And it is a lot of work.
You better be really up
It
for the
is
task
hard, and
and want to do it.
that's what I always say. It's like becoming and I it's not like I've fucked up. I still feel weird. Like, I went into adult and was only thinking about myself, and reached a certain age, and I wanted to become a parent, and it's something that I deal with. Is that I'm a person. I'm in the adult industry. I have children. I have been very upfront with them about how I feel about the work that I've done. I wanted to give them present to them a deeper vision of life so that they can go forth and do things, and also learn from my mistakes so that they won't make the same mistakes, hopefully. But it's hard work, and
Yeah.
and you feel a love that is indescribable. Like, I remember when Adam was born, and I was just I've never felt that kind of love before, and I still have it. I have it for my children, but also along with that is an absolute fucking terror. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there's a terror when you love someone more than you love yourself, the terror that stays with you, and the fact that there's also so much that you can't control. At a certain point, you can't control certain outcomes. You can't. You can do the
No.
best you can. Look at Davion's parents. They did the best that they could. Short of putting him on some sort of a leash, which they couldn't have. He was 19.
Mm-hmm.
They can't control him. They
Mm-mm.
can't,
Mm-mm.
and because also being a good parent is allowing your children to have a certain amount of autonomy, and you trust them, and you do the best that you can, and you hope for the fucking best.
Yep.
And it wasn't enough, and he died. And
Yep.
that's terrifying. But like you're saying, it is terrifying that anybody can have kids. I saw this case. Oh my God. Maybe we'll talk about it on another episode. This
Mm-hmm.
case of this fucking woman who just was popping out kids left and right, lost custody of two of them the minute they were born, because the kids were probably born with meth in their systems. And
Oy.
then the third child that she gave birth to, she somehow wasn't on meth. She had custody of him, and went out and eventually was making a certain type of content with her infant, and was
Oh.
selling it. And she's in prison.
Oh.
She doesn't have that kid anymore, but like, that woman was popping out kids, human beings, giving
Ugh.
birth to these human beings, abusing the one that, the other two, hopefully they're okay. Hopefully this third one is okay. But like, this is what we have going on. I mean, it makes makes the Shrillas look like parents of the year, right? Like,
Yeah.
talking about these meth addicted monsters, but yeah, anyone can have a kid, and the thing is it's the hardest job you'll ever fucking have. And I have a lot of compassion, because I do believe the Shrillas love
Mm-hmm.
Mackenzie. Have
Mm-hmm.
no idea if they love Danielle or not. I don't know, but she's like, not seen anywhere, which is good for her.
She might have pulled herself out of that madness so she could be sane. Hopefully she has friends.
Hopefully she can see that there's a lot of people online. If I'm sure she's online,
Mhm.
reading stuff, but a lot of people have a ton of compassion and sympathy for her. And that it's like, hey, Danielle, you're not invisible. Like, there's people that are actually like, hey, I hope she's okay,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm.
And that there's there's resources out there and stuff if she needs to. I'm sure she probably needs to talk about her experiences, if nothing else than being the sister of a chick who's in prison for murder. But yeah, everybody get a hobby. Everyone.
Yeah, that doesn't involve yourself.
A hobby that doesn't involve, that's like genius, fucking Adam Carolla. He's like, get a hobby that isn't you, that isn't yourself, that isn't making yourself the focal point of attention. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, and let's, for God's sake, let's all do a social media cleanse. Wouldn't it be great to like not ever? I'm not on there hardly at all anymore.
Yeah.
Just
Same.
even for the podcast. If you guys have commented on Instagram and we haven't responded because we are just like so done with social media. We value you. We welcome your comments, and also I have fatigue around that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We love you guys.
We love
Thanks for
you.
listening. As always, please join our Patreon, and you can follow us. We'll pop on to Instagram here and there.
Yes, we will. All right. Another one in the books.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.